Hello and welcome to the 741 channel. Thank you for stopping by. Today we're going to take a look at this sticky doorknob and see if we can get it straightened out. So you can see what's happening. If I turn the doorknob and try to open the door, it doesn't open. It's kind of stuck. But if I turn the doorknob a few times, kind of back and forth, then I can get it open. So here's what's happening. If I turn the doorknob sort of a regular amount, you can see that the latch is still kind of sticking out a little bit and preventing the door from being able to be opened. And if I turn it the other way, you can see it really doesn't go much further in. But if I hit it with my finger a little bit there, you can see it kind of releases and then goes back in. So inside somewhere here, it's just getting sticky or stuck or misaligned or something like that. So let's take it apart and see if we can figure out what's wrong. So first up, I'm just going to remove the two screws on either side of the doorknob, one on the top and one on the bottom. Now that the two screws are removed, let's just pull this out of here. So here's a look at the inner side of the knob. I don't see anything wrong here. That looks okay. Let's set that aside. So here, I'll pull the outer side of the knob out. So here's a look at the outer side of the knob. It doesn't look like anything's wrong with this either. Looks like it's turning freely and completely. I don't hear any binding or anything. So let's set this aside. I think maybe the problem is in the latch mechanism here. So what I think I'll do now is just pull the latch out by removing these two screws and just take a close look at it. Maybe it just needs some lubrication. So you can see with the screws removed, we have the outer latch plate, then we have the latch assembly itself, and then we have this inner latch plate, which we kind of turn it an eighth of a turn or so, and you can see it lines up to some tabs there and comes off. So it looks like what may be happening is there's a little bit of maybe paint in here and a combination of it just has dried out and needs some lubrication. If I exercise it with my finger, it feels fine. It doesn't feel like it's binding or anything like that, but it's not exactly the smoothest thing in the world either. And of course I see this little bit of evidence of paint on here on the inner part of the latch. There's also some evidence that there's paint here, and it could have got into the mechanism there, and it's just kind of got things gummed up a little bit. So what I think I'm going to do is use a little bit of WD-40 on this. I don't have any specific lock lubricant on hand right now, but if you're attempting this, you may want to use something specifically made for locks, as over time the WD-40 can kind of gum this up and cause the same problem to happen again. But for the short term, I think this will be fine. So now that we have the WD-40 in there, everything seems to be moving nicely. I can't say that it's really any better than it was before, but let's put it back together and see what happens. So first up, I'll put the inner strike plate back on, and I'll turn it about an eighth of a turn or so there to get those tabs to line up, and then kind of turn it back into place and let it sit back here. Then I'll put this back in the door, making sure that the tapered part of the latch faces outward. So next up, I'll put the outer strike plate back on. So now I'll get the screws back in place. Now as we get close to getting the strike plate tightened down, we want to make sure that it fits snugly in the pocket in the edge of the door here. Okay, so now we're ready to put the inner part of the doorknob in. Now you can see on the inside we've got the rectangular opening for the main part of the outer doorknob shaft, but then the inner part, the smaller part, will kind of go into a rectangular slot that's down deep in there that you can't see. So we may have to kind of wiggle things around to get everything to line up. So the other alignment feature that we have to worry about are these two forks here. There's one on the top and one on the bottom, or vice versa, that kind of go around the bosses in the outer part of the doorknob where the screws thread into. So what I'll do is hold the outer part of the doorknob with my left hand, and I'll push this in with my right, making sure that the forks are sort of lined up with the screw bosses. And then I'll just kind of wiggle things around until it all goes together. There we go, that should be good. Before I test this, I'll put these screws in and tighten everything up. Alright, so the doorknob is on and all tightened up. And you can see when I turn it, the latch now goes all the way in. It looks like it works as it's supposed to. So let's actually give it a try now and see if the door will open when I turn the knob. Okay, the moment of truth. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's beautiful. Now it opens up just like a door should. So aside from squirting a little WD-40 on the hinges over there, I think we're done. So that's pretty much going to wrap up fixing this sticky doorknob. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to leave a comment or subscribe, feel free to do that as well. If you'd like to support my channel in another way, please consider visiting my Amazon store, which you'll find a link to in the description below. Thanks for watching.